Hi everyone, it's Elaine Hamilton-Grundy from the Reiki Center. And today I wanted to answer a great question that I got around healing others and what happens when they don't feel anything. And the question was really more specifically around how do you kind of meet expectations. And there was a lovely also little end note to the email that was kind of like, well, you know, if they don't feel anything and I put all this time and effort into it, then I feel like I'm wasting my time as well, which I really love the honesty of that. And often it is the way, right? We give someone a healing and they don't really respond, and then we're like, one, am I doing it wrong? And two, what's the point? You know, what's the point of me spending all this time and energy with this person when nothing's changing? So to meet those at both angles, first of all, from the angle of the person that you're giving the treatment to. Now, often I do try and set an expectation before I begin the treatment to say that Reiki is not specifically a sensation. Now, often people do feel it as a sensation. They sometimes feel, or mainly would feel, heat or tingling at certain parts of the body when I put my hands on different areas, but not always. Sometimes people just notice a very deep sense of peace or calm. Often people fall asleep, in which case they're not going to give you any feedback at all because they're quietly snoring in the corner. And then for other people, they can actually have the opposite impact, whereby they feel very agitated or brings up very difficult emotions for them, or they have a sleepless night afterwards, or they don't feel well. They sometimes come down with flu-like symptoms or detox, what we would call detox. So the range of what somebody feels during a Reiki treatment is enormous. I mean, it's a huge range of different kind of feelings on the spectrum. So it's important that you kind of set that expectation for them, and the philosophy behind that is that Reiki essentially is universal life force. And so therefore, when you place your hands on somebody else, they can liken it to a kind of filling up. So you're helping them to rebalance themselves. And so whatever that means for that individual person is what will happen. Now, for some people, they will rebalance, and this is the most common, they'll rebalance in a very calm, peaceful way. Hopefully they notice sensations and they give you some kind of feedback, but that's not always the case. And as I said, sometimes actually the feedback you'll get is quite negative. So the expectation that we set is that whatever is necessary for your body system to go through, and that might also include release, and that release may feel quite challenging or uncomfortable, but it's for the person to realize that it's a release, so you just let it out. If the release starts to happen, let's say they start to feel emotional and they push it back down again because they don't want to experience it as it leaves the body, then that's up to them. Of course, they can do that, but it's for you to let them know that if they do that, then they're pushing it back into their system. So in order for the emotion to release, they need to take the courage to allow it up into their awareness so that it can then transmute. Now, for some people, their ability to take in the energy, like what I mean by that is what they're really ready to take in and what they're really ready to look at in their lives is very varied. So some people might come to you for a Reiki treatment and they're open, they're ready, they want to do the inner work, and they're the ones that will really progress very rapidly with Reiki. You will notice every session is very open, it's very rewarding for both you and for them. But at the other end of the spectrum, there are those that are coming, and maybe they're coming because they feel obliged, right? Because you've kind of been saying, you need this, or they're doing it as a kind of favor, or they're doing it because someone else told them that they need to do it. So when these people come, they're not fully open. They're kind of doing it because they feel obligated. So these people are, maybe they get a brilliant insight, but often what happens is that because they're not ready, they won't be fully open to the energy. There will be a level of resistance. They may just kind of blank out, fall asleep, or take very little. What comes to mind is the old expression, you can take a horse to water, but you can't force it to drink. So you can be applying your Reiki, you can be open to universal source, you can have Reiki coming through you and out of you and whatever, but it's up to the person that is receiving the energy to take it. And that's the same for you as well. Like when you're doing your own self-practice, that's also what's happening with you. Your openness to receive the Reiki energy is also what makes it work or not work, right? So it's exactly the same for someone else. You can't force that person to take Reiki if they don't want to. And when I say don't want to, they may consciously be very open to it, but energetically not. And you can't predict that. In fact, they can't predict it either. So your willingness to be available is what we move into next. So if your availability is conditional, in other words, I will spend time with you if you show me that you're getting value, then you're setting up a very difficult imbalance because you're being conditional. So you're basically saying, I'm only going to give Reiki if that person receives it to the extent that I get feedback. Now, one of the reasons why we charge for Reiki is so that we can even out that imbalance. If you're charging for your time, then it doesn't matter whether they give you feedback or not, because you feel, well, you know what, I've given my time and my time costs this much and they've paid me that much, so I'm available to them because my time has been taken care of. If you're doing it for free, it is much more likely that you are going to be disappointed or feel like you're wasting your time if that person gives you no feedback or is cynical or doesn't think that the session has done anything. Because then you're sitting there going, oh my God, I've just spent an hour of my time giving this person Reiki and they don't appreciate it and they don't appreciate my time and blah, blah, blah. So the money value or the exchange of energy is partly built in to help us be less conditional as to what we want out of it ourselves. So there are two aspects to any healing relationship. It's the person that is coming for healing and it is the person who is giving the healing. And both of these aspects need to be balanced. So first of all, the person who is getting the healing, it's not up to you how much they get or how much they receive, should I say. Okay, your only job is to be as open as you can so that they can receive whatever it is they want to receive. But then you also have to take care of your own expectations. Not only take care of theirs, but take care of your own expectations of what do I want out of this session. And if you need some kind of validation, then you're kind of setting yourself up for disappointment. But if you clear that by saying, okay, it doesn't matter to me, they're basically, I'm looked after already because I've got some form of payment or I've got some form of energy exchange. So I am available to this person. They can use my time however they want. Now, when you set it up like that, whether they have a wonderful session or they fall asleep or they feel nothing, it becomes irrelevant because you are already taken care of, or you've already taken care of yourself. So this is a few things that need to be taken care of in order for the session to be totally unconditional, open, and freely given. So it's like you freely give your time, you freely give the Reiki because you've set up the time, and the person in question will then take whatever they need or whatever they want or whatever is appropriate for them, and that's their business. That's really not your business. And all you're doing is setting up the parameters. So this is the way it works, and this is what's going to happen, and then the rest of it is up to the Reiki and up to the people that are receiving it. And then the whole session becomes much more harmonious, much more easy. And yeah, that's really the way it works. That's the best way that it will work anyway. So hope that's answered that question and given you maybe a little bit of food for thought as well in terms of how you are offering your own Reiki treatments.